You know what? Let me just go ahead and like start the episode up because I feel I'm feeling the vibe now. I'm hoping you're feeling the vibe. You feeling good?
I've been feeling good. Yeah, yeah.
Nice, cool, cool. Let me intro you real quick. Danette Rodriguez is a stand-up comedian from New York, a Puerto Rican, originally from Brooklyn. She's performed throughout the states, including internationally in Japan and Paris. Danette was part of the Comic Cure festivals in Miami and Philadelphia, ESPN, and at universities. She credits her dry and sarcastic style to her mom and three multicultural stepfathers. She's also a graduate of the New School of Public Engagement located in Greenwich Village, New York. Audiences have called her an awesome, delightful, and provocative must-see. I call her a personal friend of mine. Please help me introduce Danette Rodriguez, everyone.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for
This,
being
this is
on.
good.
This is definitely amazing. Great way to start off the new year. Yo, first and foremost, in the garden, we gotta like start off right. I'm introducing today's topic. Danette and I, we're both covering all 2021. We're gonna be discussing the trends of the new year, what trends we want to see come about in the new year, what trends we want to like make sure like set intentions towards, the do's and the don'ts of the year. And to start us off, we're gonna be planting some seeds. So in introducing all 2021, I like feel like the 2021 trends that need to be happening more is like people start taking care of themselves more, like more self-care. I know you're like super into self-care. I know you're super into like taking care of yourself in every level. With people taking care of themselves more, like, is there anything specific you want to see that jumps up out at you?
I think if people did the basics, like showering, flossing,
Foundational.
um,
Okay, okay.
changing their clothes so that it's clean. I think that's a start.
All right, the foundations, the basics, that's great. With all of the with everyone in the house and all the orders, I feel like no one does that anymore. Like not even like flossing, not even like just changing the clothes. But it's so funny how like when you're in a funk and you're in bed all day, like you get up and you wake up and you take that shower or you go outside even and see some sun or you brush your teeth. One of those little basics or foundational things like sets the tone for the rest of the day.
Yeah, people really have to push themselves, otherwise depression like really like grabs you. And like we all know, we all have our instincts, right? That we've been removed far from because of technology and every single media outlet trying to get our attention. So I think that what that's doing is it's getting us further away from like our own connection, our own intuition. So intuitively, people know like how to take care of themselves. Like if you're feeling sad or bad or fucked up, can we curse on this? My bad.
Do you?
Like if we're feeling bad, I think it's for us to be like, okay, is this going to help me tomorrow, or is this where I want to be? Like you have to do a lot of like internal coaching, because the depression is real, and a lot of people, it kind of creeps up on you if you're not careful. So for me, as soon as I start feeling sad, I acknowledge it, like, oh, I'm feeling sad, this sucks. And then I'll make sure to go out for a walk, because there's been a lot of studies that say when you're moving, first of all, you're getting sunlight or fresh air, even if it's like raining out. Just being outdoors, getting fresh air and moving and seeing different visuals helps to stimulate the mind, and then it gets you out of your funk.
Yeah.
I've never seen someone walking around the block still pissed off. I mean,
Wait,
unless you're bumping into people, but for the most part, if there's no one around.
one of the funny things is that like when you see someone walking down the street and they're like super happy, they got a smile on their face, they have like no headphones on or they're not talking with anyone, that's some weirdo shit. It's actually more like acceptable to see someone like on their phone cussing someone out or like just being like with a mug face on them. I think we should change that definitely. One of the C's actually I wanted to touch on was something that you touched on is that making sure you're doing it for yourself. You got to pull yourself up out of that. The whole all last year, like we were okay with being told what to do, right? Like government tells us, let's stay inside, stay indoors. And I don't know for you, but for me, like there was such a growing resentment of like people that were out there doing them. Like I have friends and that are in Las Vegas and Cali, gone to Mexico, gone out traveling everywhere, Africa even. I'm like, damn, like I want that. I'm listening. I'm trying to be a good senior. Like I'm trying to be a good person here. And like every one of my friends, like God, I love them, but they piss me off on that. Like, is that is that not something that we should be doing more? Like doing it for ourselves and like making our own decisions and being self-reliant.
That's interesting. When the COVID first happened, I had one or two friends that were still traveling. And at first I was like, oh man, they're not scared. And then I think in like mid uh, April, they were still traveling. And I was like, okay, now you're just being an idiot because you don't know what's happening. But I have to say that I know that they are personally being careful and that they're washing their hands, they're wearing their mask, and they're not like hugging and kissing and like they're not out there. I try to be compassionate because I was getting upset too, but then I realized that was coming from a place of fear, and that was just
Mm,
kind of separating me from that person or from those people.
mm.
And then I realized that I myself, I live alone. I don't have pets, and I went 2 months without seeing someone,
That's
and that
real.
was starting to affect my physiology. Like it was starting to fuck with me. Like things were starting to feel weird. And I remember I went out. I started. That's when I started to like do like make sure that I would go out and walk around and get fresh air, and there were certain blocks that I would go down on that had no people in them. So I would take my mask off, knowing that weeks, like days earlier, no one has been on that block. I've never seen anyone. So I thought, okay, well, no one's on this block. So the part of them having germs and sneezing into the air is pretty unlikely. So I don't have to worry about inhaling like germs. So I would take off my mask and I would be walking. But then I noticed that sometimes I would bump into people or I would see people, and I would hope that they wouldn't call me an asshole for not wearing a mask because I was wearing a
Like,
mask for like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 1 hour earlier, and now I'm taking it off, and you just happen to bump into me when I don't have my mask on. So that's just to say that we all have to do what's best for us, like, you know, and just hope that the other person's not intentionally out there sneezing on people and just being a blatantly disgusting. You know what I'm saying?
disgusting person, right?
Like we don't, yeah, like I saw a man, just as an example, he was in his car and he was coughing and into
Ugh,
his wrist,
right.
and then he took a loogie, like he spit onto the floor, and I was like, and
Yeah.
I stopped walking and I was like, really, like really, because I was like, why the fuck are you spitting? And then um and then I kid you not, 2 weeks later, I was walking in the park and I started to feel something in my throat, like
Oh,
I couldn't,
uh-oh.
like something really gross, and I was like, I have to spit. And I was like, I can't spit. There's a global pandemic. Like, is that? And then I thought, well, I don't know what's in my throat. So it was just like, oh my God, like, what if that's what happened to that man?
The
What if he was
tables
like,
turned.
yeah, so stuff like that happens to me all the time where I'm like, oh, okay, like we don't know what people are going through, like.
That's real. That's
So
real.
maybe your friend that's in Africa is like, if I stay in New York, I'm gonna kill myself, so I need to go to Africa. So would you rather
Hmm.
have your friend in Africa, or would you rather have like a dead friend?
I'd rather have an alive friend who I can like physically see, look into their eyes, like if we were here now, there would be like we get hugs and stuff. Like we're both Latino. That kiss on the cheek shit is dead. Like that's not coming
No,
around. That's
I
not coming
know
back.
that
But
makes me sad. Yeah.
it does. It really does. Cause like I've had weeks, nothing like how you had it where you had no contact for months, but I had a couple of weeks where I was in between like seeing people and I already felt that taking a hold. I'm like, nah, we can't. Let me go back outside. Let me get my circadian rhythm in check. Let me make sure like I FaceTime family and friends and stuff like that. And it's kind of the one of those things that we need to keep doing. That is one of the 2021 trends we're going to be seeing more of until these vaccines roll out, like more Zoom stuff, more webcam stuff, more FaceTime stuff, until like we're out of our cages, I feel like. And at that point, they're going to release the Kraken, bro, because like everyone's not going to know how to act.
I try not to say things like I'm in a cage or someone has
Dead
authority
ass.
over me, because that will,
I
within
believe
within
that.
seconds, it'll like go into my head and it'll mess me up.
It'll stay in
There
the
were
subconscious.
there were times in the quarantine that I felt stifled and I felt claustrophobic, and it was just, my friend had to tell me, she's in Colorado, and she had to tell me, Danette, just remember Nelson Mandela was in prison for 27 years. And if he was able to like persevere, you can you can ride out this pandemic. And I was like, thanks. I think
And
like
that's how you became Nelson Mandela.
but that's how I had to like look at not like I had to that was someone that I had to look into like oh shit like Nelson Mandela was in prison like I can do
Hmm.
this. Another my hairstylist actually told me that at some point she had said she thought about Anne Frank.
Hmm.
So it's crazy how we had to like look through to these severe examples in order to just cope with the present.
That's
So
real.
so we have to be really gentle and kind. And I know some people have a higher threshold to like bullshit and like say things like, "Oh, we're all in cages," but I'm like, I can't because
No,
it'll seep
that's not
in.
me. That's funny. To get back into the topic though, that's like the last seed I wanted to touch on was actually you just mentioned was the fact that we need to raise our awareness and our consciousness, like raising our awareness to like what we're saying, what we're being told, the things that happen around us. It's real.
Yeah, I mean, even that vocabulary is like foreign to people. It sounds too woo woo for some people, but other people are like on board. They get it, and I feel like I guess we are attracting our vibe, our tribe. But for people that like my sister, she's a paramedic.
Mm.
She'll be like, "What are you talking about? What expand what consciousness? There's people dying. What are you like?"
They can't see
Um,
it. They can't see it. They can't hold it. So they don't know.
yeah, but I think the way to speak to those people would be to just come from I guess have a higher vibration, like just come with that positive good energy. And whether a
Hmm.
person subscribes to like a higher consciousness or awareness doesn't matter, but they'll feel it.
Right. You got to
And
come
that in
from like
itself
a
is cool.
you got to come from like an experience based personality, like this is my experience, and that's like the coolest shit. Like you can't, as much as we try to, I'm a firm believer in your vibe attracting your tribe. As firm of a belief as I hold in that, like you just gotta people go off of what they can see, what they can hold. So while like awareness and consciousness, while we may not even see it, because like I have family like that too and friends like that too, where like, yo, stop talking to me about that hippie shit, bro. You know, I'm on my plant-based shit. And they're like, yo, get away from me with that shit. Like, I'd
Yeah.
rather just be the example for that. So that way they could have like an anchor for them, a model for them to be able to be like, okay, that might be what it looks like for me. Might, not that it has to look exactly like how I represent positive vibes and shit or higher vibes.
And also, I think in the last 4 days, there's been this message that's been coming to me, and it's this idea that you being plant based, me being like spiritual, and like us being into higher consciousness, that's awesome. But it's not for us to preach onto others or to try to persuade people to live life the way we're living life, because people, by its nature, will resent that because it makes
Mm-hmm.
them wrong. So if you're eating plants and someone else is eating meat, um, I feel like there's judgments that come up.
Mm.
And because I just spoke to someone recently that was like, I hate hippies. And I'm like, well, what's your definition of a hippie? And they said Brooklyn, Williams, Williamsburg to be exact. And he doesn't like hippies because he feels judged by them, which I thought was
Mm.
interesting because I'm like, are they really judging him? And maybe he's met one or two individuals that have, and so now he's like, forget all hippies, forget all spiritual people. um and the same thing with like, if you're eating plant-based meals, maybe someone had an interaction with a vegetarian that was really like confrontational and
Mm-hmm.
judgmental, and now they're like,
You'll
oh,
never
now
know.
Alvaro is one of them. Great.
Right, right. Man, I've had every experience in between. Like everything you just mentioned, I've had like four of those. Like where at this point, I'm only like 2 years plant-based, and I do want to continue this for the new year, for myself and for everyone around me. But in terms of like raising awareness and consciousness, I don't even like speak on it anymore. It's more of just I gotta live it. And with the meat eaters in the world and the carnivores in the world, I've had like them, like family or that people that are still like not on the bandwagon, they'll give you those looks. But for me, like I don't have that judgmental, I feel like, thoughts. But if that's the vibe that they like get off of me, that's something I feel like is a projection of me. Like I'm a reflection essentially. And so like if someone's like, oh, he's giving me judgmental vibes and stuff, I'm like, nah, that's something that you got within you, because I'm so busy being happy about my plate full of plants that I can't like focus on anything but the deliciousness and the beautifulness that is right in front of me, you know?
You do a good job at, for me, you do a good job at like selling plant-based, not selling, but like the last time that we hung out in Union Square, you were talking to me about your plant-based diet. And I think
Mm,
that week I looked at the documentary you had told me about on Netflix,
mm.
and I was plant-based for a good 2 to 3 weeks after that. But I couldn't keep it up. I couldn't keep it up.
Yo, what? Oh man, my heart just grew like three sizes, bro. Like that's amazing. I mean, um, great. I'm so happy that you're starting that. Do it on your own time, and it's a journey and a process. So trust the process. Take the journey for what it is. That's amazing. I didn't even know that I inspired you to watch it, and then also be plant based as fuck. That's a win for me today. If I don't do nothing else, like.
Yeah. Well, no, because it was a reminder. I mean, I already knew that I'm from research and stuff.
Mhm.
I already know that that's kind of a kinder, more healthier version. And so then, yeah, meeting with you and seeing how you're living your life that way was like, oh, okay, here's an example of someone that's doing it. Like no excuses type of, because all this stuff like um meditation, yoga, like looking out for plants to heal, did I say meditation already? Like all
Yeah,
these
you can say
things
that
are
twice. You can say it 3 times.
all these things take work and practice. So there's also the idea that people want to be better, they want to evolve and like be more holistic, but there's the reality that all this stuff takes practice and it takes daily work. And if you got a nice Netflix movie you want to watch, or if you got friends to call up, or if you've got people to date, I don't know, like you'll find other things to put before it. So
That's very real. And that actually serves as a great transition into our next segment, water and light. We're going to be talking about the do's, what we should be doing in 2021, the different practices, routines, systems, habits to put in place. I think that where we're both coming from, if it's all right for me to say that, I feel like you do have a holistic background. If you're not in alignment with that, you feel like you have an alignment in terms of like spiritual, holistic practices that you do
am
that
I
you
in
subscribe to?
am I in a you used the word alignment and it threw me off. Me
That
off
tends to
alignment.
do that. So with water and light, in terms of like grabbing our seeds and growing them, I think first and foremost, we just got to be consistent to what we set out to do. So like I have my own 2021 goals and dreams and stuff like that. And I just realized that in order for me to be consistent, as opposed to what I've been doing in the past, my dreams have to come with dates and deadlines. So I gave myself that. That's just me shit. But I told that to my sister, and she's like, "Oh my god, what the fuck? You're so inspiring, motivating." And I'm like, "I'm just trying to figure this shit out, bro. Like, I think
Yeah.
everyone is trying to figure themselves out and this shit out in 2021. I feel like with 2020 being behind us, now is the time. If not now, then when, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
So is there like for everyone, you could mention like meditation like 100 times, but I feel like everyone should be practicing definitely meditation, whether it be like a quick morning meditation or like the deeper, more rewarding stuff like shadow work. If y'all don't do shadow work, I highly recommend it because I've been doing some shadow work, but I will let you know that shit is not for the faint of heart.
What is shadow work? What is shadow work?
Shadow work, yeah, thank you for that. Shadow work is like the work that we do on our shadow, which is like active conscientious awareness into our darker selves, our lowest selves, like our lowest vibrational selves, who like or our worst behaviors and systems of behavior, like our bad um, our weaker selves, our lowest selves, basically, who like all these behaviors that we think are negative. That area is where we prescribe it to. So that would be like our shadow self. It's not for the faint of heart because that's like you actually have to look in the mirror and be like, "Yo, I'm tired of your shit." Now, it's not like casting it away. It's more of like placing a light on it. If I could describe it like that. So when you shine a light onto the shadow, it can't be a shadow anymore, and it's full on integration with your whole self. So like your shadow can't go nowhere because you are light and shadow's there with you. But when you integrate the two, then you find full acceptance, you find full embrace, you find all that self-love and self-care, motivation that you need for that. Would you agree?
Yeah, it's interesting because in 2020 we were all obviously locked down, like in lockdown, and I found myself reading or watching a lot of Kobe Bryant interviews and
Yo,
just kind of seeing how his mind works and how where he got, how he became the greatest. And then through watching his videos, I discovered his coach, Tim Gunter or Tim Gunn.
Tim Grover,
Girl,
right?
thank you so much.
Yeah,
It's
Tim
been a while.
Grover.
Yeah.
Yo, my homie put me onto his to Tim Grover's book last year where he talks all about Kobe, his Relentless by Tim Grover. I read that shit front to cover, and then Kobe died, and I was like, oh my god, everything does happen for a reason. But that like that mindset, that Mamba mindset, that closer mindset, oh man, it's so damn. You watched Kobe interviews? That's fire.
So yeah, so the Tim, I'm sorry,
Grover.
Grover.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Tim Grover is like a big believer in accessing your shadow side. Like he is a big believer in embracing the dark side, which is like
Mm-hmm.
for Michael Jordan, it's like that competitive, like I don't care about your feelings type of that's his shadow because
The fact that
we
he's
are
a
all
gambling addict, right?
he's not a gambling addict.
Mm-hmm. All
He's
right.
not a gambling addict. He's
A competition addict, would you say?
he's yeah, like that would be his thing,
Uh,
like he's competitive by nature. But anyway, that was the first time that I heard about using the dark side, the side that is not really pleasing to your advantage. And so yeah, so it's interesting. So I am familiar with the shadow side and I am starting to embrace that myself, which is like, look, like you could be a bitch sometimes, like be okay with it. Or you could be
that's real.
I could be like short tempered with people. I think that I grew up with a lot of bullshit around me growing up. And so when I encounter someone that's trying to bullshit me or just kind of lie to me or misdirect me, I like my patience for it's just like shuts down. Which if no one has met me before, they'll be like, why is Danette being so dismissive? Or why is she so,
Mm,
but it's, you know, so now I'm learning to embrace it. It's like, look, this is who I am, and it actually saves me from wasting time with people.
gotcha. That's fire. I feel like in terms of the integration of the shadow work, but like your old triggers where like your patients started like to wean off, is that not like a good indication for where we're at to be able to say like, okay, I feel that feeling coming up about what do we do now? Do we like repeat the same cycles or do we like learn from the experience and like start a whole new cycle? I think that is one of the do's and the shoulds that we be doing is like ending bad cycles and then starting fresh new cycles. I feel like after the fire pit that we had in 2020, like we're rising from the ashes like the phoenixes that we are.
Yeah, but like we have to also remember that sometimes cycles are like fun and addictive, like for
Mm,
relationships, for example, it's like, like a person is not good for you, but you're also like excited about like the drama that could unfold or maybe this person will, like you can see red
yeah,
flags in a person, but then your higher self will be like, no, I don't want to go down that road again. But then the other side is like, oh, but like it could be fun. Like
but it's so fun, right? That's
yeah.
that's real. That's real. One cycle that I'm starting up again is I'm hitting the gym more. I feel like everyone should be going outside more, looking at flowers, at nature and stuff. And one thing I'm super appreciative of your IG feed is that you give us all the flowers. That is like every time where I'm like, oh, it's a random flower. Like, yo, I'm like, Danette, you came through with that one. So this is a huge thank you and shout out to you for all the blessings of flowers that you've planted on a million people. I feel.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that was for me being alone for 2 fucking months. I didn't realize the power of flowers. They're
Flower
uplifting.
power. You know the
Flower power.
flower power.
We take so much for granted. Like trees are amazing. People make fun of trees, and I'm like, you have no idea like how much oxygen they give us. Like
Mm-hmm.
we take
Well,
so much for granted. It's
yo,
actually it can be messed up.
we're about to find out how much oxygen trees give us in like 10 years when there's none left, right?
I hope that that statement does not come true. I hope that
That
people
statement will
stop.
not be coming true.
I hope that people stop ordering like 100 things on Amazon. Like order once a month or twice,
Yo,
like
you know the
every
vibes. Oh
three
my
weeks.
god.
My neighbor, I swear to God, I think she has like a package every single day. I'm like, do you know how much waste you're creating for? But people love their packages.
They gotta get it right here, right now.
Yeah.
So I think that gives us a perfect transition into our penultimate segment. We're gonna be discussing the weeds and the problems facing us in our journey with what we want and our intentions that we're setting. These are the don'ts and what we should not be doing. We're removing everything that didn't work in 2020 so that we can make space in our gardens for what does work for us in 2021. Off the bat, me personally, I'm not believing a word politicians tell me. I'm not doing it. I'm not trusting the Democrats with my soul anymore or my vote.
Democrats and Republicans or just Democrats?
Well, obviously, I'm not trusting a Republican with my life because they're taking it. But House Democrats have the House Democrats, Senate Democrats, the Democratic Party in general has this whole uh, scheme that they run on us. They try to get us to vote. They want our black and brown votes. And then once we do, and they secure the bag, and they're in their seats, they like backpedal. Like you saw the Joe Biden released that the 1.9 trillion COVID relief plan, and in it he's like, I'm not gonna give you the 2,000. I'm gonna give you a piece of it. I'm not gonna give you the whole thing. And then that student loan shit that was last year. You can forget about that. That's staying last year. Y'all gonna have to pay that shit off. Like I don't. For me, politician in the political world, seeing is believing
Hmm.
because they have like it happens every time with Obama in the house, with Bill Clinton in the house, and it's just like a thing that they do. That they'll make a whole bunch of promises. In terms of like Republicans, they really don't care about us black and brown folks, but Democrats, they really try to make it seem like they're sincere, and then we'll end up being like bamboozled, hoodwinked and led astray. So
I don't entirely agree with everything you said. I feel
Mhm.
like um you look at what you want to see. I mean, if you want to see the corruption and the bullshit, that's exactly what we're gonna see. But if you look at the good work that they're doing, maybe it's kind of like if you put your energy into the programs that they're funding and into the I honestly believe that some people go into politics with a really good heart, and because it's so bureaucratic, like you have to just fall in line and like, you know, push the paper along at the speed that the elders or the way the system's been done before. So I find like a lot of politicians go in with good hearts to try to move things about, and then they get stuck with BS. But with that said, like there's some good I can't tell you which programs, but
Okay.
I feel like there's people on our side in government now, you know, for education, for even people fighting to get their student loans um what's the word, paid off, that, you know, so people don't have to
Canceled.
canceled.
Mhm.
People are trying to there's some politicians trying to better the healthcare system. There's some politicians that are really pushing for LGBT rights in states. So there's people fighting for the right things.
That ass, yep. And with all that, I do subscribe to that. In terms of like believing in politicians, I don't want to believe it until I see these things in action. So I do, I want everyone to get paid. I'm talking universal basic income, universal healthcare, universal housing, all that shit needs to happen because if that doesn't happen, then what's going to happen to America? That's like the new trend where I see us going into the future. In terms of like the political establishment, I have no faith in the political establishment until like everyone that's in that's been in office now for centuries now, it feels like, but they've been in office for decades, gets out and allows people like AOC, Katie Porter, these new young politicians, the squad, come in to let them do what they got to do. I have little remorse for politicians at this point.
Yeah, I mean, politics is not my strong suit. I just know that if I don't agree with something, I literally don't put my attention there, and I
Mm-hmm.
try to prepare, um or I try to look at people that will, like Governor Cuomo. A lot of people dislike him because of the senior citizen situation,
Oh,
but like, but on every live talk he's done, he's addressed the senior citizens situation, but people kind of like to repeat it over and over
Mhm,
again,
mhm,
and they don't look at the good that he has done. For me personally, as someone that was by themselves, and I was scared out of my mind, it was really comforting to have him come online and tell us what was happening, what we needed to do. Like, he didn't have to do any of that. If he was a scumbag that everyone paints him to be, if he was this corrupt person, he could have done a lot less. He could have, like, not come on air every day. He could have. I've met so many cruel, unkind people. Like, so when people, I don't know, like, I always try to look at the good in people, because when you meet someone that's like cruel and vicious, you won't forget that feeling.
at
And yeah,
all. Yeah, I feel that. Like it's a gut feeling when you hear when you see a schmuck, when you feel a schmuck, when you know a schmuck, like
Like Trump is a
oh,
Trump. Yeah.
come
Yeah.
mierda, mama huevo, hueputa, like all that. Like when you see one in
Or
action,
Mitch McConnell is definitely the,
oh,
like,
Mitch
more
Mama
than Trump,
Huevo,
I think.
yo, oh my God, like all of them, bro. Like, like when you see them work and in action and who they actually are, like there's like a gut feeling of like not hatred, but like yo, fuck that guy, like.
But that also, like, that also speaks to, like, so we're talking about spirituality and expanding the consciousness. I think that also speaks to, like, how much, like, darkness they're in, how much, like, they're in
Mhm. Oh,
this
they're in the
this
thick of
lack of
it.
like, to walk around with that lack of empathy is pretty interesting,
It's
like the lack of
cruel.
compassion. Yeah, it is cruel. Yeah.
And it's so like I am interested in them, I will admit, and like I watch them work just to be like, oh, so this is what people do, like this is what scumbags do, all right, okay,
I
and
think
keep
it
it pushing.
I think it's a cold existence. Like, you could, like,
So
any one
cold.
of us can be that, but I think it's a really cold, hard existence.
Yeah, there's no warmth in that. We like when you associate with evil, man, it's just like there's ice in your veins, there's like no life around you. Like he literally calls himself the Grim Reaper of the Senate. Bro, who does that? Who like that's
Someone someone that's embraced their shadow.
yes. You see, and he's like living in it, bro. He put the cape and the cloak on, and he's got the axe. He's just walking around like, yo, this bill gone. Y'all trying to get student loans canceled? Get out of here with that shit. But
He's
I will.
embraced. Yeah.
He's embraced that shit fully. One thing I want us to embrace fully is like to start trusting our gut feelings and our intuition. We're not gonna be dismissing our gut intuitions and our feelings no more. I feel like that's a weed that we've been going on. Where like you want to give people the benefit of the doubt, but sometimes it goes against your better judgment. Can't be doing that no more, right?
Yeah, I would agree. I think that comes with experience, and really being decisive and putting your foot down.
Mm. And
Yeah.
it like it's gotten easier for me because I will like intuition and that gut feeling. It's a muscle. You got to work it out every day. But it's not like like the type of workout where like you're gonna be like super fatigued afterward. Like there's like little things where you can like pick up your intuition and your gut feeling. But then those times where like I ignore my gut feeling and my intuition, I'm like, damn, bro, that's karma right there, is it not?
I don't think that we're taught to work and exercise our intuition. We're
We're
not.
not.
So,
We're not. We're not.
because, so an example is, I had a cousin, and this is it's about to get real, so hold on to your panties. Um, I had a cousin tell me that she was pregnant and she didn't want to have a baby.
Mm.
And I was like, oh, like, it's too late now. Um, and then she told me she wanted to get an abortion, and I was just like, okay, like, I support you, whatever you want.
Mm.
But then she told me that she was raped. And I was like, oh my God, that's terrible. So, long story short, she wanted to borrow money from me to get the abortion. And I was like, whatever you need. Because the last thing that any of us wants in this world is an abandoned child, or like an abused child. Not that she would have abused a child, but I'm just saying, like,
Mm-hmm.
he's already coming into this world. Not, I don't know, I just, whatever she wanted. So I paid for her abortion thinking she was going to give me back the money. Not only did she not give me back the money, but she went back. She was in another state. She went back, like, the next day, and told my family that she had just lost a kid. And my family's not stupid. They're like, oh, you went to New York and Danette helped you get an abortion. And so that was placed on my shoulders. Like I'm the bad one. And what was my point? My point was my intuition during the whole process was like, this girl is like, like, like my intuition was like, something's not right here. Um,
Mm.
but because, you know, there were so many different elements, like it turns out she was not raped. She just made that up to gain my sympathy. So that's a situation where I had to go to therapy for.
Definitely. Go to therapy and a lawyer, right? Like,
And I didn't go to the lawyer, but you know, that still stays with me, you know, like damn, you know, like I don't have children, and so does my family think it's because I'm out here getting abortions? Because I'm not. I'm being
cautious, you're being conservative.
cautious. So not only did she, yeah, so I just she put a really bad image of me in my aunt's and my grandmother's mind,
Terrible. I'm
and
sorry you went through that.
she never gave me back my money. But that's just to say that my intuition along the ride was just like, oh, this girl's like, but she was my cousin. And
Mm.
so that's an example of like, you know, you learn from that lesson. So fast forward to my other cousin telling me something was wrong with her, and I was like I was just like, nope, not, I'm not.
you you learn that lesson quick. Like, nah,
I'm like,
no, I don't want. No, no,
this is
no.
your issue.
Do
Yeah.
you? Like, that's my ultimate. That's the ultimate lesson right there to learn. Just trust your intuition, follow your intuition, because that negative karma when you don't listen to yourself or your inner voice, that shit is real. Damn, I had nothing like that.
That
Like,
was intense, you know. And the other thing
very.
too
Thank you
was
for
like,
sharing.
I think like 5 months later, I was let go from my job. I used to work in TV, and I was let go from my job. I couldn't collect unemployment for some reason, and I had no money. I was practically almost like
Mm.
homeless. And I thought, shit, I could really use $500 right now.
It's like, man, you, me, and like 50 million other Americans, dog. Like, that's an intense situation, man. Like, I think one thing that we're not gonna be doing this year is putting ourselves in intense situations with poor decisions or like doing things that go against our better selves. For me, that includes like doom scrolling. I've been on social media like nonstop. Like that app that shows you that you're on social media. That shit tripped me the fuck out because one day I saw I had been on online on apps like for 4 hours. I was like, no, I can't. It's like I could have read several books in that time span. Like I can't be doing this shit. So I cut back. Now I'm like, I want to say like an hour on each app, but the year is still young, so I'm not gonna speak on that just yet.
How are you cutting back?
So in the app, like you could trick it to be like you could like maneuver it to be like, yo, I only want to spend 15 minutes on this app, or like 30 minutes on X app, or like an hour on X app, or you could even mess with like the time usage. So like I'm not on my phone, I'm not on apps from 12 midnight to 12 in the afternoon. Before it was like shorter, but I was like, nah, I can't. Like the morning strictly for me, I can't be on my phone in the mornings.
I'm sorry, what are the hours? You said you're not on it from 12 p.m. to 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, I'm not on it from midnight to noon. So like
Oh,
I go to
that's
bed.
good.
Yeah, I go to bed and like I'm finally like leaving my bed, my phone outside of my bed, not being in my on my phone in my bed, and then on top of that, like just putting it elsewhere, like outside of reach, where I have to like physically get up if I want to get onto it. But then there's like 10 steps from in between me and my phone where I'm like, is this the smart move? And those like every step is like, wait, what are we doing? Like, let's really conceptualize it here. And I'm like, all right, you know what? Let me just go back to doing what I have to do for me. And then like, say if I wake up in the morning and I want to like touch bases with whatever app is on my mind that day, like the app stops me from then and there. I'm like, okay, let's make some fucking tea and go outside and go for a walk. Right? And that's been helpful for me. See some flowers
Interesting.
and shit, get flower power.
No, that's good. That's good. I tried doing that, the whole putting a time limit on my Instagram, and I'm on Instagram a lot and on Twitter, so I try to put a like a 1 hour, like after 1 hour, like that's it, it shuts down. But what I notice is like I will what is the word?
Break the code, like you'll unlock the rule and shit.
I'll overwrite it. So now I have an extra step. Um, So that's why I was
Same.
asking, like, how are you doing it? Because even though it locks it, I'm still like, fuck it.
Yeah, same, bros. Exact same. Because like there's those times where I'm like, fuck it, let me just unlock whatever, and then like I'll notice the cycle repeating, and I'm like, oh darn. All right, let's not beat ourselves up, folks. And that's the last week actually. Is I feel like with everything that we're going through, we can't beat ourselves up. We can't be as hard as we were. We got to go harder for ourselves. But we can't be as hard on ourselves as we were in the past. Yo, I gotta say, your hairstyle has blessed you in more ways than one because gave you
Thank
that dope
you.
insight and a dope look too.
Gracias.
But yeah, like being kinder to ourselves and like in terms of like if you do I feel like if you go on Twitter like Rock Nation Twitter and LLC Twitter are like beating the shit out of us for not starting our own corporations or like doing things productive quote unquote things with our lives. Like we can't let capitalism dictate what productivity or what a good life leading a good life looks for us.
There's a guy, there's that motivational speaker online. Oh, he's so intense. I don't know his name, but everybody knows him. Uh, he's always screaming at people.
Tony Robbins, I feel like does that.
No, no, there's another guy. He's a digital guy, Gary Owen.
Gary V. I fuck with Gary V.
I bought his book, but
Oh, where?
I can't mess with him because I feel like he's like screaming at me. So to answer your question, I don't feel that pressure because it doesn't feel good. Like now I feel like um now I feel like I'm not enough. Like I feel like why don't I want to work, 20 hours a day? Like what's wrong with me? Like why don't I want to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning? Like, and it's like, you know what? That's not good for me. Like I'm
No, no bueno. Yo, Gary V is funny. Is his book written in all caps?
I feel like it might be, yeah.
Like he's one of those guys where like he produces so much content that like whatever he writes, you can actually hear his voice, no
He's
audible.
screaming. Yeah, like he doesn't. I don't. I can't. I'm not ready for it.
Exactly. We
Because he
can't.
literally he insults you too. He's like, if you're not working like 15 hours and the guy next to you is, so you have nothing but you to blame. And it's like, damn.
That is the exact vibe, bro. I feel like we wander front like yeah, that motivational porn and shit is like that inspirational stuff is like really what we want to gravitate towards too. But like sometimes we got to be real. Sometimes it's too hard, bro. It's okay with I'm okay with like a motivational speaker coming in and being like, you know what's the best thing you can do for your motivation? Let's take a nap. Let's take a nap. Let's close our eyes. Let's
Yeah, there's a
settle
balance.
down for like 5 minutes. Let's get that balance going in. Exactly. Thank you a lot, Danette, for that. I think it's best that we wrap up our episode now with our harvest. We're wrapping up today, all 2021, looking at the do's, the don'ts, the shoulds, the trends of all year. What have we learned? I've learned that Danette likes Kobe Bryant. I didn't know you were a Kobe Bryant person before today, but okay.
He's a beautiful man. God
he
bless him.
he is. That's actually like he's actually the person where I got the drive to meditate more because one of his meditation videos, he's like, I have to meditate before the day starts because if I don't meditate, direct quote was, if I don't meditate, I feel like I'm chasing the day, and when I do meditate, I feel like the day is chasing me. So I'm like, God
Yeah.
damn, that shit. I heard that, and I'm like, it stuck because the carpe diem, the day is chasing me now. How have you learned, Danette?
How have I learned what?
Anything throughout this episode? Have you picked up
Oh,
any
what have I learned
nuggets?
from this episode?
Yeah, from our time together.
I've learned that we're definitely alike.
You know
I've
the
learned
vibes.
I've learned that it was only a matter of time before I shared that freaking abortion story. It's been sitting
Thank you
in
for
me for
sharing.
a long time, and I know you're Latin, and so if your audience is Latin, there's going to be some sort of uproar or some sort of judgment about that particular topic, which is fine. Everybody is entitled to their opinion. I've learned, I just literally just learned that me and you are a lot alike, and that we're in the pursuit of wholeness and well-being. So that's a good thing.
That's amazing. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for being with us. That's there's so much to that. I feel like what we've gained is like the fact that our vibe is a vibe attracts a tribe. I'm a huge believer in that. So just letting ourselves be like our full authentic selves, allows for what's meant for us on our path while we walk on our purpose to come and join us for however long that experience lasts. Do you have any lastly, how have we grown? So what we've gained and how we've grown. Do you have anything you want to share in that regard?
What we've gained and what we've
How have we grown?
like right in this episode, or
Yeah, whatever the past hour, it doesn't have to be nothing too crazy. I know I'm not Gandhi or Buddha or anything, but I feel like everyone and everything is a lesson and a blessing. In terms of like experiences, I do recognize where there are opportunities for learning and having that growth mindset in myself. That's like one thing I've gained is like this year I'm adopting the growth mindset full on. So like everyone I come across is a lesson and a blessing, meaning that like it's with intention, it's with purpose, but something bigger than myself. So I can't fathom how this is gonna affect me, like this conversation A and B between me and you, like a year from now. I know that like in terms of adopting that mindset, like everything happens for us. Life is happening for us for a reason that we don't know, but it's for our betterment. In terms of like what I prescribe to, I don't know if you're religious, but I read the Bible and stuff, and the Bible says that God handles everything so that it ends well. And if it's not well, that means it has not. What is it? I'm butchering it now, but paraphrasing, if it's not well, it means He's not finished yet.
mm, yeah. I don't know what more. It was on. This was like 45 minutes.
I
Like,
feel you. I feel you.
like, do you think? I mean, it'd be ideal if we close this out and I hit the lotto and I'm like, meet my husband. That'd be awesome. That'll
I'm
be
with that.
um, but
I'll be sending positive vibes your way, so that way you could. I'll be sending positive vibes your way so you can meet your husband and win the
oh,
lotto.
thanks.
Thank you. I'm in
Thank
pitch
you.
black darkness. You're welcome. I'm in pitch black darkness. The lights just went out on
But
me.
that's when the light shines the brightest. So you're good.
And on that note,
Wow, that was fun. This was fun. Thank you so much for having me. I feel like we basically just said, like take your walks, take flowers, elevate, meditate, eat plants if you can. There was a lot of juicy stuff here. So hopefully the people watching this will get that energy and be inspired and, do the best that they can do.
all good vibes, y'all. Thank you so much, Danette. It's nice to hear from you. Nice to see you. I can't wait till we actually can meet, like in real life, and not have to do any stupid stuff like wear masks and hand sanitize. Well, like I won't be washing hands after 2021.
You being in the dark is so funny right now.
So funny for me, dog. You have no idea.
But it's real, right? We're keeping it real as well. So
Very, very real. It's all love, Danette. Thank you for being here on All Growth. Until we tap in next time, keep growing, keep going, keep going.
bye.